You're really okay being on a penny.
Well, of course. It's an honor.
Okay, but they put Andrew Jackson on the 20.
Jackson!
Finally, a film character I can relate to on a personal level. What's up? It's me, TST Tom, and welcome back to United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Cuba, 702, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, North Carolina, still, Bolivia. So I haven't watched a lot of the movies that have come out in the last year. I mostly just watched movies that were movies that I had seen previously before and wanted to form a new opinion on. And the movies that I did watch that were new were, well... How sad would it be if Sonic the Hedgehog was the last movie I ever saw in theaters due to the crippling of the theater industry? Anyway, this is all to say that I wasn't very interested in seeing Pixar's Soul. I saw the trailers, thought it looked kinda weird and a little bit interesting, but then I forgot about it, went on my day, and went on to eat the souls of 14 college students all getting their bachelor's degree in cheese making. Socially distanced, of course. But something about the concept of the movie just stuck with me. I couldn't quite figure out why, but as time went on, I became more and more interested in watching the movie, to the point where I was so incredibly interested that I would have sold myself to the flying spaghetti monster just to get a ticket to see the Soul-y goodness. Luckily for me, it was free to stream on Disney+, so I didn't have to make any soul exchanges with divine Italian cuisine. All of this is to say that I don't normally do movie reviews. The last movie review I did on my channel, as you saw, was for a film that I, didn't particularly enjoy. But this time it was different. This time I think it's safe to say that Pixar's Soul is probably the best movie that I've seen coming out of 2020. Again, not a lot of stiff competition to compare it to, but still. By the way, here's your spoiler warning. Please go watch this movie if you haven't already. In fact, if you have seen already, do it again. Feed the Disney watch machine. Then come back to watch this video. You won't regret it, I promise. For those of you still hanging around who haven't seen it. This movie is about Joe Gardner, a part-time band teacher at a high school who aspires to become a famous jazz musician. He's such a good teacher at this high school, in fact, that the school offers him a full-time job there along with pension and everything, which would be really good for his financial stability, but would conflict with Joe's dreams. Coincidentally, on that very same day, he auditions for and receives a gig to play at a professional jazz club along with a successful jazz musician. Also coincidentally, on that very same day, Joe dies. Well, that took a turn. And ends up as a soul on his way to the Great Beyond. After his refusal to go into the Great Beyond in a series of wacky hijinks, he ends up in the companionship of the soul number 22, a soul who doesn't see the point in living on Earth. They team up, with Joe wanting to go back to Earth to get his gig, and 22 wanting the chance to get rid of her get-to-Earth free pass. If you're seriously still here after not seeing it, I'm very disappointed in you. Go in the corner. That's about all I'm going to do for the official summary, but I will still be going into the later plot details in later parts of this review. Now, we actually get into the real review. Finally. Soul had me a little bit worried at first. I thought it was just gonna be like a little by-the-numbers, follow-your-dreams cliche movie, and that the sole purpose... Thank you. Thank you. You're too kind. Would be simply to continue to line Disney/Pixar's pockets with a semi-interesting tagline and a somewhat boring movie. However, I am very happy to say that those worries were blown clean out of the water. Soul is incredibly engaging, with well-written characters, a fascinating world, and fantastic themes and messaging. The voice acting is amazing, and, as is the standard with Pixar, the animation is utterly gorgeous. Whether we're in the abstract soul world or the realistic and vibrant New York City, every frame brims with life and talent. Even though some of the people look like lima beans, look, I'm sorry, I had to say, everyone mentions it, it's an easy joke, please, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make a funny joke, it's funny. Besides the animation, which I could gush about forever because look at it! There are two main things that this movie does really well, and that is characterization and themes. The story itself, when not taking into account the characterization and the themes behind it, is somewhat weak and a little bit by the numbers, like I was worried. But the characterization and heart really make all of the difference when talking about that. Speaking of which, we should probably talk about the characters. Let's talk about Joe, our main character. At first glance, Joe seems like a pretty typical character in a movie about following your dreams. He's likable, earnest, has humble beginnings, or rather, humble presence. It's okay, buddy, I get it. I live with my mom too. And most importantly, he has a dream. It's pretty funny. It's funny joke, man. Funny. A dream to be a jazz musician, making soul, that's the title of the movie, music for the world to hear. Now, with most stories like this, that would be the end of it. That person would have the goal and they'd work towards it, and the story wouldn't really focus on anything else because why would it? But Soul takes an interesting perspective. Throughout the journey of this film, it becomes increasingly obvious to the viewer that Joe is obsessive about his music, and he believes that his spark, something that is required for souls to be able to go to Earth, is his music, and that he was put on Earth to that end, to create music. He's so focused, in fact, that several allusions to a previous, and apparently serious, relationship doesn't move him at all. It's all about the music, and as the story points out, it's to Joe's detriment. We found out later through the cat body switch plot point, yeah, there's a body switch with the cat 22 and Joe in the movie, don't worry, it's not as contrived as it seems, that Joe is so obsessed with becoming a famous jazz musician that he never stopped to learn more about his barber, someone who he considers a really close friend and someone who he talks to on a weekly basis.
It is nice to finally talk to you about something other than jazz, Joe.
Huh. How come we, never talked about your life before?
You never asked, but I'm glad you did this time.
We also learn later that Joe sincerely believes that if he does not become a successful jazz musician, then his life would have amounted to nothing. Because of his lifelong goal to become a famous jazz musician, he equates the success of that goal with his self-worth. It's important to have passions, yeah, but Joe, like so many today, has let his goals define him. Why? Well, because it's his purpose. It's his spark. Or is it? To answer that question, we need to take a look at our other main character, soul number 22, or just 22 for short. 22 is one of the oldest souls in existence, hence the low number, whereas all the others are like...
Soul number 108,210,121,415.
Yeah, she's been here a while, and not by any accident. For souls to be able to go down to Earth, they need to receive their spark, as previously mentioned. They get their spark by either looking at their mentor soul's memories, or by looking/experiencing something in the hull of everything that has ever existed on Earth. You never know how every soul is going to get their spark, but you know that they will eventually. 22 has had a lot of mentors, and she has never received her spark. So now she actively avoids going to Earth because she sees living just to die and go to the great beyond is pointless. However, in the mishap that is the cat body swap, she ends up in Joe's body, down on Earth. After some getting used to, she starts enjoying the simple pleasures in life, like a piece of pizza, or a conversation in a barber shop, or watching one of those little helicopter seeds fall into her hand. And after experiencing life, she realizes that she does want to live, and abandons Joe in his quest for his body. They both get caught by the people from the soul world who are looking for them to put them back in their proper place, and we discover that 22 now has her spark, and thus her Earth pass. She gives it to Joe, just like they previously agreed, and spirals. She internalizes all the criticism given to her by her mentors over the years, and she uses it to convince herself that she's not worthy of living on Earth, that something's wrong with her, that she doesn't deserve her spark. She becomes a lost soul, a soul so utterly consumed by their failures and the horrible parts of their life that they just lose their way. With 22's life pass, Joe returns back to Earth in his body, just in time for his big jazz gig that he was working all this time for. He gets there, he plays, and it's fantastic. He plays amazingly, the crowd loves him, the famous musician is impressed. After the show, she even offers him a position to play with the band. He accomplishes everything that he always wanted, and yet, he feels the same. He thought he'd feel different, but he's still the same old Joe Gardner. Nothing has really changed. Confused, he goes home to think. As he's rummaging around in his pocket, he pulls out the items that 22 collected during their escapade, and he realizes the truth of the matter. The spark isn't your purpose for existing or your reason you were put on Earth. It's just that, a spark. The spark that makes you want to live. The spark comes from seeing all the things that you can do in life and the things that you can live and the way that you can just live an amazing life. And it's what allows you to enjoy the simple things that make life worth it. Like that slice of pizza or conversation with a friend. And so Joe, with this new realization, finds his way back to the soul world, long story, and finds 22, seeing her in her lost soul state. He works to get her out of there and comforts her and gives her back the life pass, telling her that she does deserve a chance at life. And then he allows her to take her rightful place on Earth, giving her the Earth pass and sacrificing his own life in the process. He may have not lived the life that he wanted, but he has realized that he's lived a good life, and he resigns himself to the great beyond. Luckily for people who were starting to notice the kind of serious suicide overtone, the Soul caretakers were impressed enough with Joe's handling of their problem case, Soul 22, that they decided to let him off the hook and give him a second chance at life. And thus, the final lines of the movie are uttered.
So, what do you think you'll do? How are you going to spend your life?
I'm not sure. But I do know. I'm gonna live every minute of it.
"2020 was a horrible year for a lot of us, and I know for me in particular it was really horrible because I was going through a terrible existential crisis. It had really started in 2019, but the pandemic and everything made it so much worse. The days started to blur together and pass by so quickly, and I became increasingly aware of the way that time was going away and I wasn't spending it the way that I should have. I was just becoming increasingly aware of how limited my time actually was. I would sometimes have days where I didn't want to get out of bed just because I was so paralyzed with fear that I wouldn't accomplish anything worthwhile, and that my days were being wasted on someone who didn't deserve them. To be blunt, I was in the darkest place I had ever been in my life. I was helped out of that pit by friends and family who, while they may not have known what was going on, they still helped me nonetheless. And last year, the death of Una Sonis really helped me internalize just how little we can do to stop the passage of time, which, while seemingly scary, really helps me. I realized that there was nothing I could do to stop time, so I might as well just make the most of it. I didn't have to worry about death because I knew that it was coming, and I knew that my time was precious and I just should live it. Soul really helped me too. That's why it took me so long to make this review. I took time to internalize the message that Soul gave me, and honestly, in a way, I think it may have saved me. Soul told me that it was important to follow my passions, sure, but more importantly, it taught me that if I didn't create something big, or if I didn't do something amazing with my life, if I didn't go on to become a great filmmaker, or world-famous YouTuber, or world best-selling author, then my life wasn't a failure. I don't have to do all those things just to have a good life, because that is the true message of this movie. Life is a crazy, wonderful, hectic mess where things don't always go your way and you don't always get what you want. But no matter what life you live, you know that it was worth living. And I think that that is a message that we could all use, especially right now. I give Soul a 9.5 out of 10. Whew. Sorry for getting a bit deep there. I just really needed to get into the nitty-gritty of why this movie meant so much to me. I'm sure you understand. It's a good movie. Go see it. Do it. Go out and watch Soul. You won't regret it. And if you don't have Disney Plus, I'm not saying pirating, but I'm saying that maybe you could make an opportune exchange of goods with someone who maybe doesn't legally own it. Anyway, that will be the end of today's video. I want to sincerely thank you for watching this video, and I sincerely hope that you enjoyed it and I made your day just that little bit better. I don't do movie reviews like this a lot, and I definitely don't throw my personal life into videos like this a lot, but I still hope that you'll check out the rest of my videos. For those of you who didn't see the last video, I have a brand new Discord server, which will be linked down below, along with my TikTok and Instagram, both at TSTTom, and the podcast that I do with my friends called Net Worth. All of that will be down below, and I really encourage you to check it out. Don't forget to like, share, and or subscribe. Only 6% of the people who are watching this video are actually subscribed. And we just hit 300 subscribers. Thank you so much for 300 subscribers. And if you want to help, you can raise that count, and subscribing would really help out the channel continue to grow, and it would generally just mean a lot to me. So yeah, be good people to each other, don't be prejudiced, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye.